Hey everybody, it's Scott at the Pedal Guy. How you doing? We're all about pedal demos, pedal knowledge, pedal sales. I love pedals, and so do you. Oh, do I have a treat for you today? This is one of the first, if not the very first, dealer videos for the brand new Headrush MX5. This is all the processing power of a Headrush in a much smaller footprint, and much more importantly, a much more affordable price point. So if you've been waiting to check out a Headrush, now's your chance. Seriously, check this thing out. Look how small this thing is. I mean, damn, you got everything in here. This is amazing. But before we get started, if this is your first visit to my channel, please take a second and click on that subscribe button down there. Give me a thumbs up. Help this video rank in the YouTube algorithm and help me grow the channel so I can make more content for you. The Headrush MX5 is a quad-core multi-effects guitar processor that includes 46 amps, 15 cabinets, 300 impulse responses, 10 microphones, and 63 effects. In addition to this, the MX5 also has that wonderful touchscreen that we all look and lust after. It has an onboard volume/expression pedal. It has the looper, it has the tuner, it has MIDI in and out, it has a send and return. It really is a complete package for $399, and it is such a small footprint. I really think you're gonna dig this. Let's check it out. Let's take a quick look at the overall layout of the MX5, starting with the back. So going from left to right, you have your guitar input, you have your expression pedal input, you have an effects send and return, so you can use your favorite pedals along with the MX5. You have your output, where you can go in either mono or stereo. You have your headphone output, you have an auxiliary input. You also have MIDI in and out, and they do in fact include the MIDI cables to go along with it. You also have a USB port, so you can use this as an audio interface if you want to, or you can use it as a reamping device, and of course your power. The layout of the MX5 is pretty straightforward. In the upper left corner, you have the master volume. You have a rotary encoder where you can access any of the parameters and edit them inside of the Headrush. You also can do that by way of the touchscreen here, which is one of the best things about using the Headrush, aside from the sounds, of course. To the far right, you have a volume/expression pedal. And then you have 3 Footswitches here, and these are like the 3 gatekeepers of the product. So we need to go a little bit into detail as far as what these do. The Footswitches are where all of the magic happens inside of the MX5. From these 3 Footswitches, you can access just about everything inside of the MX5 to make it a true hands-free experience. It may not look like it, but you can do quite a bit here. For example, right now we're in what's called hybrid mode, which means that my first Footswitch over here is color-coded to an effect that is mapped out to this specific rig. And then I have these additional Footswitches to toggle up and down the rig. So I get the hybrid access of a singular effect and going up and down different rigs. But if I want to change that, it's very easy to do. Right here, you can see it. Right in the first Footswitch, it says Stomp/rig. If I press and hold here, this enables me to select Stomp, Rig, or Hybrid. So if I select Stomp mode, this gives me access to all of the effects to turn off and on at any given point. There's also a hands-free mode, which I'll cover in just a second. But if we go back to that first Footswitch again, we also have Rig, which enables me to toggle up and down all the various rigs. And if I want, I can use the 2 Footswitches together to go up and down the different banks. So pretty straightforward. And then of course we can go right back to hybrid. And if you want to, you can do this from using the touchscreen as well, but since we're talking about going hands-free, let's stick with the Footswitches for now. Now, as I mentioned before, the Footswitches get pretty deep. So let's just talk about the surface level first. We've already covered the first Footswitch. The second Footswitch toggles to the looper. So press and hold, and this will launch the looper, where all 3 of these Footswitches now perform various tasks within the looper. I can record multiple layers. I can do things like reverse. I can do really weird things with the mixing. I can change the speed, the length. There's so much you can do. And in the upper right corner, you have those 3 dots where you can select various functionalities like loading loops, saving loops, editing the name, deleting the loops, whatever you want to. If you want to exit, just use the exit button and that'll get you back out to the top surface. The third Footswitch over here on the far right will access the tuner. So let's go ahead and press and hold. And now we're in tuner mode. And these 3 foot switches now do the following. To mute the signal that's going into the tuner and unmute it, just use the first foot switch. If you want to change the tempo of the rig, you can do it in a tap tempo fashion if you'd like to. And then of course, if you want to exit, just use the 3rd foot switch. Additionally, what you can do here too is you can set up your reference pitch, but you need to use the rotary encoder to do that. So if you're working in alternate tunings, that's a good way to make that happen. And then go ahead and exit and you're back out to the top. Okay, now I'm going to share with you a power tip. So let's go ahead and press and hold that first foot switch again. You can see that Stomp, Rig, and Hybrid mode are back up here, but there's also small text below each one of these modes to tell you that there's another function built in here. So the first foot switch goes into what's called hands-free mode. So if I press and hold for a second, this will go into hands-free mode where I can go up and down the various parameters of an individual effect. I can go to the next slot and then do that again, and the next one. So you can go through the entire rig and make any changes you want. You can also exit. But in addition to this, you can also make intricately small adjustments or large adjustments. So if we go to dynamic delay, and let's say we want to change the delay milliseconds, we can use the expression pedal to do that on a much grander scale. If we want to get very granular, we can use the 2 foot switches together to make tiny changes. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and exit. If I press and hold that foot switch again, and I go to rig mode, I can also toggle to what's called set list. Now, without getting into it, set list enables you to set up all of your favorite rigs into what's called a set, so that when you're playing live, you can just hit one button to go to the next rig within your band's set. And it's a very powerful function. I will get into that in a future video. Now, the last thing you can do here on the far right with the 3rd foot switch is you can do what's called locking the screen. So if you're in your rig and you want to make sure that nothing gets altered, what you can do is press and hold, and that'll lock the screen. So you can select hybrid again, and you can start going up and down the rigs like you did before, but nothing is going to happen to the rig that's in there. You can see how I can press the screen and nothing's happening. So if you want to exit lock mode, there's 2 ways to do it. One way is to hit that little lock icon there, and that'll get you back onto the screen. The other way you can do it is simply by going back into those modes again, pressing and holding the 3rd foot switch, and now you're back onto the main screen again. Now, as a side note, if you've never used a Headrush before, the touchscreen is one of the best things about this product, aside from the sound, because you can just get as interactive as you want to with the overall sound of the Headrush, because you can arrange the signal chain any way you want to. You can add different effects, you can add additional effects, you can subtract effects. So if we wanted to get rid of, say, this dynamic delay, for example, we could just simply drag that into the delete section, get rid of it, and now the dynamic delay is gone. But if we want to create something else, we can go to that first effect slot and we can select anything we want. So if we want to bring in another reverb, we can bring in a tape echo if we want to, and it's as easy as that. Oh, I want to move it down here. Just click and drag, and there it is. You can also change effects. So let's say we don't want that bass EQ. We can just double tap on there, and we can select a different effect if we want to. We can go to parametric EQ if we want to, and we can change it and make something completely different. Just the one thing you want to keep in mind is, as you're making adjustments, make sure that you save as you go along. If you don't, it's okay, because the Headrush will catch up with you. And if you, say, want to go to a different preset or a different rig, it'll ask you, do you want to cancel, save, discard changes, or save a new rig? So you have all of those abilities to do that. And you can even do it from the foot switches below. Okay, now that I've taken you through the Headrush, let's actually have a listen to what it sounds like. Well, that concludes our video for the brand new Headrush MX5. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll come back for future videos on this amazing guitar effects processor. We'll see you soon. Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any further questions, be sure to visit us at thepedalguide.com. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly videos and tutorials. Thanks for stopping by here at thepedalguide.com, where I love pedals and so do you.